On the air sickle, you are never alone. Together we're stronger, together we've grown. On the air sickle, where love shines through. Awareness, compassion for me and you. On the air sickle.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to On the Air Sickle. My name is OD. I'm the executive director and host of this awesome podcast. Listen, if you have been following us all night, you know that I am live here at INOVA Fairfax, and we just concluded the INOVA Fairfax Sickle Cell Town Hall in this room to my right. So excited. So many people were in the crowd. I mean, I'm talking about warriors, family members, physicians, community leaders, just kind of sharing information on what the direction of sickle cell goals. There was a panel earlier tonight, a group of about 4 or 5 individuals that were able to share their story to the group that was here. And so I actually have one of those guests. Mr. James Smith is with us. And so a young man who told his story got really, really emotional about his story. And I'm just excited to be able to get him on the air to share a little bit with our On the Air Sickle crew. Listen, tune in, listen to this man speak. He speaks with authenticity and from the heart. And I'm so grateful to have James Smith live on the air. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to flip the camera here and we're going to get him to tell his story. All right.
My name is James Smith. From all over, but I have a history of sickle cell. I did the gene therapy, and now I'm here to just tell my story, help pave the way for the next people around after me.
So, James, tell me a little bit about, what was the pain like not the pain, excuse me, the experience like kind of going through the gene therapy? What were some of your fears, any anxiety? Tell us a little about that.
So I'll start from the very beginning. So at first I had 2 choices. I could do the gene therapy transplant with a team out in like University of Pennsylvania, or I could do Children's National.
Okay.
And so once I talked to both teams actually, and I was on board with one of the teams at first, they were like quick to respond and they did everything. And that was going good at first, but then I don't know, when you just feel something uneasy.
Sure.
So luckily, like that one, it kind of fell by the wayside. They had to stop their trial and they paused everything.
Okay.
With that being said, what I really wanted in my heart and mind is just I wanted the children's to reach back to me. So once the other one paused, children's came back. They reached out to me. We started talking a lot more, and I was very thankful, and it felt like a lot safer. And then plus my dad, I was hearing that he was going to get stationed back in DC area. So those 2 things were key, having your family support system and then having doctors and stuff that you care about. So that being said, we started getting the ball rolling with that. I had to take all these like blood tests, prep and sign all these papers. I had to take all this blood, make sure I didn't get disqualified, whether like you can't have like an alpha trait or that automatically disqualifies you.
Wow.
And it's just like other little things. So that being said, went on board. I passed all the tests for that, which was great. And then we started really getting into the juicy part of everything, which was like getting your blood collected, doing the blood transfusions, getting ready for the port that they're going to put in, getting ready for all that. So you got to check all your organs, of course. People with sickle cell, y'all know that how important all that is. So they check all that really well, go to different teams, make sure they see the right things so you can, because your body's going to go through a lot. That being said, once I passed all that, we were kind of more on board, started having like monthly transfusions. Um, and they were collecting my stem cells. So the card started collecting my stem cells, started doing that so they can prep for that as well. And then from there, um, it was like other little things that we had to prepare for. They put the port inside. The port was inside this whole time for the blood transfusions. And then they start giving you this medicine that brings your stem cells to your blood. So that's how they collected the best. And so I had to do a lot, like a year's worth of that. And then finally, finally, it was time to finally do the procedure itself. So I did the procedure at Children's National, and it was in the month of July 2023. And that was, it was a lot of emotions at the time. You can only imagine. You're like scared, clinical trial. So you're kind of like not sure, like, should I go with it? Like at this time, this moment. And then they're telling you how important it is. This is the future. This is where we're going. So that's, for me, that's what I use most of the motivation and everything for that. And so my family was here. I had a good support system. I was thinking about certain things, just like, hey, hope this goes successful. We don't really know. Luckily, I did wait. I was like one of the last people of the trial before it got approved by the FDA. So that made me feel better. I've seen a lot of patients go through it. I felt safer.
It's always better not to be number one sometimes. Yeah.
So I was happy about that. Of course, like your mom is always gonna be worried about you, your dad, So my mom, that was very emotional time for her. And then so just doing that, I had my girlfriend, stuff like that. So it was a lot of people on board that was like it was very emotional. So and my little brother. So all those are going on at that time, kind of nervous. Nurses did an amazing job. Their team, the doctors made me feel welcome. They kind of made it my second home, I would say, because it is going to be your second home for that, 2-3 months that you're in this hospital. So you get really close and comfortable with all the nurses and doctors. So that being said, they started giving me chemo, and the chemo, it's weird. I don't know what I thought what chemo was at first, because I'm thinking chemo, lose your hair like that or something.
Yeah, right.
But it does not happen like that. So
Really?
It's really like slowly the chemo takes effect. You're not gonna feel it, even though it's like going through your veins. You're not feeling it right away. So you're feeling just great. Like actually, you're just there. Your hair's not falling out yet. So you're just there. They give you they're like, oh, we got to do the chemo this day. And they had to do it like strategic. They did it like multiple times throughout the days, the month, like not months, but like, every hour on the hour or whatever the case is. So that being said, we did this for about like a week and a half. And then the second week, that's when you kind of start feeling the symptoms of it. So you kind of start feeling like tired. You start feeling like just like, oh, I don't want to eat. You don't have an appetite, things like that. And then you're just kind of just waiting for more side effects. Like they're telling you it's going to come, but no matter how much people tell you, you just got to go through it. To be honest, like you're not going to. There's nothing that can prepare you for this type of chemo. So the chemo comes through. Slowly doing certain side effects that are messing with me. And then slowly your hair does fall out. You can like, which was the weirdest thing. It was funny at the time, but it's just like you could really pull your beard or something and hair just falls. So it's just funny, kind of, making light of the situation. So pulling your hair, just things like that. But at the time, like I have a lot of hair now because of everything. But at the time, I decided to like cut it to a flat because I knew I was going to lose the hair anyway. So, but that was a funny experience at that moment. And then my dad decided to shave it all off at one point. But so the chemo, finally lost my hair. Then it's this thing called mucositis that you kind of get in your throat, and it's like sores in your mouth, which is like the worst experience. I don't wish that on no one. You just you gotta feels like you're swallowing glass. Feels like you don't want to talk to anyone. You don't want to eat. So that was very hard, and the pain, like Dilaudid, all that doesn't even work for that type of pain.
No way.
Like it hurt so bad. So it's just like that's when I had to go to the ICU to give me more pain medicines than the Dilaudid and stuff. That's how bad it was. So and that was a tough time because like they saw how much pain I was going through. My liver was getting inflamed. A lot of things were happening because of the chemo. And they don't just give you like a little bit of chemo. This is like a lot, 10 times worse of the chemo because they're really trying to wipe your whole system out. So that being said, going through the ICU, that was like the worst. And then at that time, out of this whole time, my parents had to go drop my brother off in college. So I didn't have my parents at that time when I was going to ICU. So that was like the crazy thing. And so, my girlfriend was there during that time. So it was just me and her, but she has to work, adulting, stuff like that. So that being said, being in the ICU, kind of feeling alone in a sense, because someone's work or family obligations. So that kind of like got me, that was a rough week. But I will say the children's national staff, the nurses, the ICU especially, they really made sure they saw how bad I was going through everything. But that was probably the worst time during the whole procedure when I had to go to the ICU. It was that bad. And people with sickle cell, y'all know it's sometimes it's you want to get good sleep. You just want to go to sleep so you don't feel the pain.
Facts.
So
Yes.
it's like sometimes you just want to like go to sleep, like stuff like that. So that's what they're kind of relatively trying to do, put me to sleep. Like luckily I was asleep, but like of course you got to wake up at some point. But it's just like they gave me meds that help kind of help with everything, made me sleepy. Um, and then other little things happened. I had like a tube that going through my nose to feed me because like with everything you can't swallow. So they fed me formula through that tube. Thing is that tube doesn't stay sometimes, and for me it wasn't staying. So there's times like when you're throwing up because the chemo will make you nauseous. So you throw up and then that tube is just coming right out.
Oh man.
And so they got to keep putting it back in, out, whatever. But then at the time, my nostrils, they started getting so inflamed because they kept going in and out, stuff like that. That being said, they got so stuffy, just things like that. And then it got to the point it was just so painful to put the thing in my nostril to go down to my stomach. So that they had to do that like kind of like a procedure in a sense where they tied it to my stomach. So when I do throw up because of the chemo, I'm good. So like,
Wow.
so, but that was a tough journey. That was like one of the hard times because like the time my nose got so inflamed, blood and everything. It was hard for the doctors to even see where they were going in my stomach and all that. So that was tough. But like I said, the nurses were there to hold my hand through that. While my parents, this is all when my parents are going through. When especially like when you need your mom at that time when a hug, just come on, like that.
Right.
So, but got through that. And then we got to the point where they were starting to introduce the new cells and the new things that they fixed to put back inside. So they started doing that, and slowly, week by week, I started getting better, started feeling better. But the procedure went well, like as far as my body not rejecting it or things like that. So that was a great thing, So we're kind of like on the upper end of it. It's still bad, but we're on the upper part of it. So they were able to start taking medicines like pains down. We can like start doing that. Now it's kind of more so of like a mental thing and just being there, making sure your levels are still going away. Yes, there was little pain there. I mean, that's just gonna happen with it, but we started seeing better. So that being said, I was probably in there for like another month just to make sure everything went well. And there was kind of like a period where they do wait to see if your body's gonna reject it too. So it's not like a quick process. Um, I'm just like kind of fast forwarding it a little bit, but they do kind of wait a while to make sure everything is going the right way.
How long overall was this time period from start to finish for you?
Um, so I would say like a total, well, yeah, including like when they like the transfusions and all that, I would say like a total probably like a year and a half, 2 years of everything.
Wow.
Yeah. So
And
like
so now that you've gone through this process,
yeah.
how are you feeling now? What's your life like now? What's some hobbies that you get yourself into that maybe you couldn't do before?
Life now is it's great. You know, I can work out without fear of like if I'm gonna go to the hospital. Because that was big for me. You know, my major was kinesiology, so I wanted to be a physical therapist. And you know, working out was huge, but it sucked at the time because like you couldn't do all these big workouts because you know just single cell. So that being said, now I can do that. I haven't done. You would think the first thing I want to do is go swimming in a cold pool and see what's going on, but
Right. Test the waters,
yeah,
literally.
exactly. But I haven't done that yet. But I'm hoping I can do that soon. So I do love swimming. I'm a fish when I get in the pool. So it's just like
Wow.
I want to do that. My dad has an Army 10 miler coming up. And so I kind of want to get into that, like running with him, just to say like how far we came, like me and my dad. Um, and so other than that, mentally, there's ups and downs. You know, I'm still going through a lot, still doctor's appointments, still checkups on top of like adulting in life. So
Right.
that kind of gets you.
Yeah.
But this team, as you know, is a great team. You know, they set you up with the right people. They know we have our bad days, even though like I don't want to look at this like people think, oh, it's secure and you should be good and all that, but like nah, like sometimes you still have just like I had sickle cell 26 years of my life before the therapy, so it's just like it doesn't just flip overnight. You just gotta be patient with yourself. So anyone that's going after, it's like I want them to know that yes, your life improves, yes, you have great things, but at the same time it's still like a mental toll. So our life is not easy. There's some days like I still kind of want to quit or just with the doctor's appointments, just things like that. But other than that, living good. I'm working. I feel great. And yeah, just helping people now.
Wow. Wow. Well, listen, James, I'm really glad that you decided to be on the show and kind of tell your story. What's most important is that you're here, right? Where we sickle cell warriors are often counted out. And so you said 26, 27?
Well, now I'm 28.
28, 28. Wow. Wow. So, I mean, this is the idea of what it's like to thrive with sickle cell, right? So, just thank you so much for joining us and for being part of the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Hey, y'all. So you've heard it from James Smith, the story of change for him, right? And so this is what these environments are all about, these opportunities to be able to get involved with the sickle cell community, to learn a little bit more about what we go through, the opportunities that are there for some to be able to tap into the advancements that are occurring for sickle cell. It is such a pleasure to be able to do this podcast and do this show to really air the stories of our warriors. Listen, here at On the Air Sickle, our motto is simple. We want to air the good, the bad, the ugly in the name of awareness and advocacy. And so stories like James can be told and seen on all of our platforms. Follow us on the YouTube. Make sure that you hit that notification button so you don't miss any information with On the Air Sickle. We're also on Instagram as well as on Facebook. And you can also go to our website at www.ontheairsickle.com. Click the share my story link if you want to be able to tell your story with sickle cell. And it doesn't matter if you're a warrior or not. If you are connected to the sickle cell community, we want to know your involvement, and we want to know how you can support and how we can support you here at On the Air Sickle. Listen, my name's OD. I'm the executive director and host for this awesome podcast. And listen, remember, here at On the Air Sickle, you are never alone.